All right. So if you're here for the first time or new, and you're like, I have no clue what's going on, that's good, that's good. We're in this series, actually last week our series called Cool Hits of Summer, and all we do is we take some songs. So first week, we tried to hit a lot of different generations. We hit the Beach Boys the first week, then the second week was Mumford & Sons, and then I was talking with Aaron, one of our worship leaders, and I was like, this year, we should get, he's a C3er, like our own guy, like the famous I call him Alan, but I was like, why didn't he just do that song? So I even texted him, I'm like, hey, you pick any one of your songs you want, but I was kind of hoping he would pick Doing My Best, and he did, so awesome, and that's kind of the concept that we want to talk about, but I'm going to throw him a little bit of credit right now, super fast. So Cordero Brown is playing. He can give me the date in a second. It's very soon. He's going to be in, I think it's Lexington, but he's opening for Everclear. Now, a lot of you in here who are older than me are like, I don't know who that is and I don't care. All you young pups in here are like, I don't know who that is, I don't care. But if you are kind of a 90s kid, right, you're like, Everclear, I mean, maybe one of the great, in my mind, maybe the greatest band of all time. So anyways, so proud of him, so thankful for him. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to be in Luke chapter 7. And I want to tell a story about a lady who learned like what it meant by doing your best, and then there's a catch to that at the end that hopefully we can all pick up on. But I just got a couple of thoughts real quick, and I know kids are in here with us. This is the last week of Kids Sunday, and so I know you parents, chill out, we don't care. I know you're like, you gave them a handful of like Goldfish, and you're praying that lasts for 20 minutes. Like, please, don't scream, you're losing your mind. It's fine. No one wants to hear what I'm saying anyways. They would much rather look at your cute kid and wave at them. So anyway, Luke 7, here's the thoughts real quick. The first is this: you only pour when you're poor, and most of us don't think that we actually are. You only pour. Now, I know that's like a weird way to open this up with, but I want to give you a concept of understanding where we're at. And this is what it says in Luke chapter 7, starting verse 36. It says, one of the Pharisees, so the Pharisees were the religious elite at that time. They kept all of the old commandment. They kept all the laws, literally 600 plus. They tried to keep them, and they would debate on how to keep the laws, and they were very religious people. And it says, one of the Pharisees asked Jesus to have dinner with him, so Jesus went to his home and sat down to eat. Now, that's cool to me, maybe not to you, but it's cool to me that Jesus, even people that he knew were trying to trap him, trick him, had a different motive or kind of a bad motive. Like, I like that the Pharisees say, hey, why don't you come over and eat with a bunch of Pharisees? It's probably all a trap, and Jesus is like, sure. Like, he just completely goes. Verse 37 says, when a certain immoral woman from that city heard he was eating there, she brought a beautiful alabaster jar filled with expensive perfume. Then she knelt behind him at his feet weeping. Her tears fell on his feet, and she wiped them off with her hair. Then she kept kissing his feet and putting perfume on them. Why did I say that first statement about being poor? Because here's a woman immoral. Some translations say that she was a prostitute. Who knows? But obviously some call her a sinner. But here's a lady with a shady past, and she comes in to Jesus. So women in this culture was kind of taboo already. She walks in with a shady past, and it's awesome because literally she starts crying on Jesus' feet and wiping it with her hair. Now I want you to think about this for a second. I knew when I said that all of you in this room would just be like, But let me tell you something that happened to me a few months back. We had a small group Bible study in my house in Ironton, Ohio. We're in the Bible study, and I'm sitting there talking. We ate. After we ate, we're all kind of sitting around. We're just talking. We're getting ready to go through, I think, somewhere in Luke. And about that time, our front door's open, so people come late, they can come in. And about that time, a lady who is probably notorious in my city, I think she may be homeless, but she would be one that the city would call a woman of the night, comes walking in. So we're in the middle of talking, and here this lady comes in who looks pretty rough, walks in, and she comes over and sits right beside me, lays her head on my shoulder and starts crying and telling me how sorry she is. Okay, I made that story completely up, right? But I want you guys to feel the gravity of, that's what it would be. Could you imagine my wife? The woman of the night comes in and she's crying. She's like, tell me how sorry she is, and I'll never do it again. My wife's like, do what again, right? Like she's taking her earrings off because she's ready to, throw down. Right, but that's what it was. These people were looking, and it's like this woman to walk in a room. Picture this. She walked in a room of Jesus sitting there in this room, and she saw Pharisees who were the religious elite. They would be like way past the pastor. They would be the super religious people who have their act together. And then she had Jesus' followers who are with him. And they also are like, they're close to Jesus. They seem to be friends with him. So she walks in out of place, out of time, and looks around and says, I'm still doing this. Why? Why would she pour oil? I like this too. Scholars believe that if she was a prostitute, they believe this oil, this perfume would be literally the most important thing in her life because it would help her to smell good. This is her livelihood. She takes it, breaks it open, and pours it out and begins crying at Jesus' feet. Why? Because she got something I hope all of us in this room get. Jesus has a cool way of working with us, and it's this. The more you keep thinking you can do it and grind and get it and do more, the more Jesus is like, no, you got to learn to empty yourself. You see, we get full by God when we learn to empty ourselves. Everyone else in this room was in just as much need as she was, but no one else saw it. They all probably like, well, we're better than her. Matter of fact, we know they say they're better. They say it in just a second. But she knew when you're poor, you pour. And that's exactly what she did. We did a seafood boil every first Sunday. So first Sundays would be next week. We do a meal or have food, whatever. We did a seafood boil in July, the first Sunday of July. And last year when we did it, it was awesome. You know, shrimp, like Low Country boil, love it. People love it, except people who are allergic to shellfish. You don't love it, right? Your eyes swell. But anyone else, everyone else loves it. Well, we're talking, we had like 8 or 10 of these burners, and I was like, man, that's a lot of work, and something wasn't working. So this year, I'm talking to someone, they said, hey, my friend has, and it's actually still in our hallway right now. If you walk out, you can see it. They have this huge seafood boiler that's like, I don't know, like 100 quarts or something. And they said, why don't we just use it? Well, I get here that morning, and I have a bunch of awesome volunteers out there doing it. They're getting it ready. And I walk out, and they're sweating. They're freaking out. And they're like, I don't think this thing works. And then they come to find out our propane tank was empty. I mean, they're in the middle of the heat, killing themselves with no propane. And it made me think for a second. I wonder if some of us in here right now, maybe you haven't ran out of purpose. You just ran out of propane. What do I mean by that? Maybe you're grinding and you're getting it and you're sweating and you're killing yourself, but then at night you lay in bed and you're like, is this really all there is? Is this really it? Right? That's the concept. And this woman, she actually understood that. Think about the different groups. The Pharisees, what are they doing? They're not pouring, they're plotting. They're plotting because Jesus is ruining their religious system of rules, and you must do this, which, by the way, guys, is carried over into modern day America too. You got to do this. This is how God gets happy with you. You got to be good. You got to da-da-da. And Jesus walks in. He's like, not anymore. There's a new system. They hated that. But Jesus' followers, they maybe didn't plot, but they posture instead of pouring. What do I mean by that? They love Jesus, but just in the same time frame, there's a story where Jesus is walking, and they start arguing. And he's like, what are you guys arguing about? Nothing. No, what are you guys arguing about? Just who will be the greatest in your kingdom? Who's your favorite? Right? But they constantly were following Jesus, hoping he would do something for them. So we have one that didn't pour, they plotted. Another group didn't pour, they postured. But then she just simply pours. So let me say this to you guys this morning because I think this helps. I've said it before, but once you hear it, I try to stress this with my kids. And I was thinking about Alan's song and even this concept of doing my best and all of us. I love his phrase. Like, we think everyone else has it together. We just can't seem to figure that out. But as I was kind of just thinking about that whole concept, I tell my kids this. This is how the world works. The world will tell you, and what I mean by this is the world system, and it's not just in America. You go anywhere you want, and it will say, prove yourself, perform, do more, get better, succeed. Now, I'm not against any of those things, by the way, but here's what Jesus did when he came on the scene that was so revolutionary. He said, that's not how my Father works. Matter of fact, here's how it works. He loves you unconditionally. What's unconditional mean? No conditions. Matter of fact, all the things you can't do to get right with God, I'm going to do for you. I'm taking your place. So now it's done. Christianity isn't a do belief system. It's done. It's good news. Not even good suggestions, not even good steps. It's good news. That's the beauty of the system. So I always tell my kids, and all of you young people in this room, you get this completely. We lived in a ranked world. Social media, how many hits, how many follows, how many shares, right? And adults do that too. But when my kids go to school, my daughter is getting ready to go back to U-Pike. She's going to play tennis. My son's getting ready to go back to school. He reports tomorrow for football camp in college. And I've told him this for the last 2 years. I said, you live in a ranked world. You go to school. Hey, you got a test tomorrow. How'd you do? You're an A, you're a B, you're a C, you're a D. We get ranked in everything. My kids really get ranked. In tennis, my daughter will walk in, and they'll have a list, and it'll be like, you're number 6 of our 12 players. That means you get to play this week. If you're number 7 or 8, you don't get to play. My son, who's a quarterback, gets the quarterback depth chart. Here's QB1, QB2, QB3. And guess what? If you're not QB1, you don't play. And here's what I tell them. I'm like, look, this is how the system works. So play the heck out of the system. It's the game. But please never, ever think for a moment this is how God works with us, that we all get ranked. It's not. That's why he's called our Father, God the Father, not God the coach. So this past Friday, I went to the Paramount to watch a play. Yeah, I know. I'm not white trash like you thought I am, huh? Proud of me? Literally went to a play out of my own free will. I was impressed. Maybe you're not. Anyways, good play. It was a junior play. It's Peter Pan. I've never seen Peter Pan, never read it, so I'm not going to lie. I was lost the whole time, right? I had no clue what's going on. But here's what fascinating. I walk in this play. It's a junior play, which means everyone involved in this is 18 or under. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm watching a few of those scenes, and I'm like, that girl is not under 18. That boy is definitely 21. I was about ready to yell for birth certificates, but I was like, it's not Little League. Who cares? I'm watching it. But here's what I'm telling you that. I thought, this is a great picture. As I'm watching that play, I thought, this is a great picture for what I want to talk about this morning. You have all these kids even. We're programmed early on. Go perform. How did I sing? Did you do well? They all got ranked. People got better spots. They got better casting roles. And in the middle of that, here's what blew my mind. As someone who's not related to anybody, I watched and I was like, she's a good singer. He's a really good actor. She's not so good. That girl's terrible. She must have money or know somebody. Like, you go down the line. But you know what I found out? You can tell who the parents are of grandparents and parents of every person on that. You know how I looked around and about 5 minutes in, I was like, I can tell every family member. Here's why. When a little girl would go to sing, you would see a section right there go. Right? And what's everybody else doing? ESPN, what's going on? They're checking. But when it hit time for this one little girl came out on stage and you saw a little section to the left, and literally they're all taking pictures, videoing, waving. And I thought, it's kind of good actually. Because I want you guys to hear this. This is the good news of the gospel. Jesus would say this, yes, the world's going to tell you, get out, perform, act, sing, do your best, and do that. I'm not against that. But just know for me, when you think you're striving to perform to earn my love, it's like, you're just my kid. And I love you. It's that simple. Second thought, go faster. You can't pour gratitude and grumbling from the same jar. Eventually one will overflow. What I love is the next few verses. It says, the Pharisees, the religious rulers, grumbled that she was there. And they said, this is what they said, Jesus, if you're the Son of God and you're God in the flesh, then you would know who this woman is. And one, you wouldn't even have let her in our house. But two, she definitely would not be allowed to touch you. That's no, there's no clue you know who this lady is. Look what he says in verse 44. It says, then he turned to the woman. I like that he looks at her first. May gave her a little side wink like I'm getting ready to maul these guys. He said to Simon, look at this woman kneeling here. When I entered your home, you didn't offer me water to wash the dust off my feet, but she has washed them with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You didn't greet me with a kiss, but from the time I came in, she has not stopped kissing my feet. You neglected the courtesy of olive oil to anoint my head, but she has anointed my feet with rare and expensive perfume. Grumbling and gratitude cannot exist hand in hand. We have to choose. So you have a whole group grumbling because they don't think Jesus is doing what he should do, and they're bothered because she's clearly not as good as us. She shouldn't be around us. So they have their levels. But then Jesus is like, but did you see her gratefulness? You see, all of you in this room are grumbling about who she is. She's the only one who gets it. She's the only one. Look at her gratitude. I didn't ask her to do any of this. I didn't say, hey, you need to do this for me to love you. No, she gets it. She is so grateful for who I am. I didn't say a word to her. And look what she's done. Gratitude speaks volumes. Now, at the 9:30, all of our next level students, our teenagers were here, and they left for Kings Island. So I shared with them, I gave them a little advice. About 3 years ago, we went to Cedar Point, our family, and it was like kind of the last hurrah. Kids were in summer, getting ready to go to college. We knew they were going to move out. We were kind of sad. So we rented a weekend at Cedar Point and got like the house on the, like one of those hotels by the water. Awesome. Anyways, long story short, we're riding rides. We get on like the third roller coaster. My son's kind of been on my neck about this. And we get on like the third roller coaster. And like the guy's like, if you're going to ride this ride, please put your phones in the bin. I ain't doing that. And my son, who's a rule follower, he's like, Dad, you really need to. And I said, boy, do you know how many roller coasters I was like, you know how many roller coasters I've rode in my life? Thousands. Do you think I've ever lost my phone? No, you know why? Because I'm not a moron, okay? And I said, all you chumps can put your phone up, but then when we get out, you're taking too long to get the next ride. I'm rolling. I'm good. He said, okay, whatever. And I had this system where I would keep my phone in my pocket in my shorts, and then I'd buckle over it, so it was like double protection. We get to the end of the ride. I am not making this up. My wife will verify. She's in here. Get to the end of the ride, and I hop out with her. I'm like, oh, it's a cool roller coaster. And I look back. I'm like, my phone's not with me. It's still in the car. And they're getting ready to take off. I'm like, stop, I need it. So I run back in. I'm looking at our seat. I'm trying to look and they're like, we got to roll. And I realized I lost my phone. And I was like, if my son says a word to me, I'm punching him in the face, right? So I literally start looking. My wife gets on Life 360 on hers, and I start freaking out. And I'll tell you why. In my phone right here it's not even an expensive phone. I don't care about that. 2 credit cards, my license, our insurance card. I don't know why I need that, but I need it. My wife tells me to keep it. Like all this stuff. So I walk through the park thinking, oh gosh, now I'm going to have to cancel my credit cards. And here's the worst part. We weren't able to check in until like 7 o'clock or something. I haven't checked in. I'm like, I don't even have a license or wallet. I can't even prove who I am, and I can't pay him to get this place. Are we going to have to go home? How are we going to get gas? I don't even have money. All this stuff. I'm grumbling, right? It was so good, and I had a good plan. I literally, keep this between us, okay? If you're watching online, ignore this part. I go with my wife, and I was like, we got to get in the water park, because we tracked our phone, and it was in the water park. And I'm like, we just got to get, I'm not paying to get in, just get in. We didn't lie. We stretched the truth a little bit. Talked to some girl who hated her job anyway. She's like, fine, just go in. I don't want to deal with this. So we go in. Well, we get in, and I'm walking with my wife's phone, and I get to the spot, and I'm like, it's right over there. But there's this huge wooden gate, and it's like, do not enter, high voltage, dangerous, crossbones, whatever. And I looked at my wife, and I said, cover for me. She literally said, what are you talking about? We're not spies. And I was like, no, like make a noise, fall down, do something. I'm getting ready to slide in here. She's like, you can't go in there. I literally said, watch me. Opened the door, got inside. Well, I get inside. I know this is a long story. But anyways, I get to the very end, and there's this big cage. I can't get in. And I look, and my precious phone's over there. So it made me feel a little better that it was there. But I had to wait. So I go back, and I'm like, I know where it is. And they're like, yes, come back at midnight tonight, and we'll give you your phone. It's like 5 o'clock. So I literally have no phone. I'm grumbling. I'm complaining. And then that night, when I finally get my phone, after midnight, I had to wait like another 40 minutes. As I'm walking back to the room, it hit me. Do you know how many roller coasters that I've been on in my life? Hundreds. I don't know, maybe 1,000. You know how many times I've lost my phone? 0. Do you know how many times I've been grateful or thankful I didn't lose my phone? 0. You know how many times I've lost my phone? Once. You know when I lost my mind? One time. And it got me thinking, but isn't that how we operate? We're also like just literally biased towards, if it's negative, we lose our mind. I remember walking around the park like, God, you can't be real. Why are you so bad to your servant? I'm your little old me, your servant, right? I remember when I got it back, I was like, oh, he's good again. Thank you. Like literally, that's how I felt. And I was thinking about for you guys, and I want you to kind of hear this. You see, I can grumble about taxes, or I can be grateful that I actually had income last year. I can grumble this week because it's been 1,000,000 degrees and we're all burning up, or I can be grateful that I have a home that has AC that works sometimes. Right, Jonda? Yes, like 8% of the time our AC works. I can grumble that the price of gas is way too high, or I can be grateful that I actually have a car to drive, because I know people my age, mid-40s, friends, people I know of don't even have a car, can't afford one. So I can be grateful. But I'll give you one that hit a little more. My kids love to fight. I have a son, daughter, about the same age. They fight all the time. And when they were kids, so I was funny, I was talking to Tanya. We went to Waterloo together back in the day, and she said this just a second ago. She said, I was talking to someone, they knew you, and I was telling them like what you did, and they said, him? He was pretty rough, or he was, I don't remember what word she said, scoundrel, scallywag, piece of crap, something, I don't know. She said something. But I thought, yeah, that's true. So I grew up, my brothers, rough, probably fought more, didn't really argue, just, boys being boys, but fought a lot of punching, a lot of fighting, a lot of bleeding. So to me, when I watch my son and daughter, they're just like, I hate you more. Why are you so dumb? They just call each other stuff. I'm like, that don't matter to me. I block it out. I just watch Netflix. I have a good time. My daughter, my wife, though, grew up with all girls. So she's a home of all girls. And I don't think they fought much. So she will sit on the couch when they're fighting. Can you guys just please stop? Can you stop? I look at her sometimes, and her eyes are like puffy. I'm like, who cares if they're fighting? They're kids. Let them do that. But what happens is it got so serious that I finally had a conversation. My kids will tell you. My daughter's in here. She'll tell you I do this. I'd literally go up to them in the middle of fighting, and I would say, can you guys stop? I could care less. Go outside and do it. Okay, one, you're messing with me watching TV or whatever I'm doing. But two, it kills your mom, and then I have to go to bed with her, and she complains and talks about it for another 2 hours. So you're causing me a lot of grief. Just quit. I don't care. I really don't care. And I remember a few years back, they literally were going at it. It was like for a week or two. They were just losing it on each other. She's upset. Everybody's upset. And I remember thinking, if you guys could just quit fighting for once. And then I blinked. And I blinked like I'm doing today because tomorrow I'm going to help my son load up and move back in. And then in a few weeks, I'm going to help my daughter move back in. And you know what's going to happen? So all of you parents in here are freaking out about your kids because you can't keep them quiet right now, right? And you're squeezing their legs really hard, right? Or just stuffing them with goldfish. Let me give you some bad news. You're going to blink, and you're going to be sitting in a house that's quiet, and you're going to be like, man, I wish I could hear them fight right now. Man, I wish they could annoy me more. So you know what? We can grumble that our kids they're all over the place, or we can be grateful that we're still close enough to get to talk to them, hang out with them. If they're little, maybe even hug them. But here's the bottom line. I have to choose, am I going to pour gratitude or grumbling? Because one will always overflow. And the last thing, and I'll go fast, but this is the whole message of the gospel. This is the good news of Jesus, and I hope you guys really get this. Jesus doesn't write you off. He rewrites your story. And I promise you, if you feel forgotten like this lady, if you're like out doing your best, trying to figure it out, and you're grinding, and you're getting it, and you think, but I'm forgotten. Because here's what happens. When people around you forget about you, it's easy to think, okay, so God's forgotten about me. I would argue that you're featured. Because at the end of all this, in Matthew, same story, Jesus said this. He said, I tell you the truth, wherever the good news is preached throughout the world, this woman's deeds will be remembered and discussed. He said that 2,000 years ago. So now it is what, July 27th, 2025, 2,000 plus years ago? And look, came true. We're still talking about it today. What one woman chose to do. So I want you to think about this. So this morning, and I'm going to call my wife out. I'm just going to call her out. I wasn't going to because she's my friend, but I am. So I've got a bottle of Gucci perfume. Gucci. This is $800+ a bottle. You guys are like, we know you too well. You're too poor. It's not. Okay, I lied. It's not, okay? This is literally $8 from Amazon. I had it shipped in. But I told my wife last night, she was like, why does this perfume come to our house? Like 2 things of perfume from Amazon. What's going on? I was like, here's what I'm going to do tomorrow, okay? So I'm going to talk about this woman who took this expensive perfume. I'm going to pretend like it's Gucci, but it's not. And then in the middle of talking about that, I'm literally going to take the bottle because it says she broke open her livelihood. Everything she had, she broke it open. So I'm going to bust the bottle on stage. And then the smell is going to go everywhere. And when people walk out, they're going to be like, man, that smell kind of, it stuck with me, right? And I want you guys to see the video. I was going to drop it right on this rock, just let it shatter and be everywhere. But my wife's smarter than me, and she said, 1, it was $7 on Prime. 2, let me smell it. So I sprayed 1. She was furious. She said it smells terrible. So she's like, when that goes in the room. But here's the worst part. Oh, wait. Here's the box. This perfume, I think it's very nice. It's called Choco Musk. And it smells like a Hershey bar. My wife's like, oh, it's disgusting. I'm like, if you wore that, kids in here, I couldn't keep my hands off of you, right? It's just unreal how good it smells. So I was going to drop it, and she was like, then you're going to make the whole building smell terrible. People will get sick. So I'm like, okay, fine, Jonda, I won't do it. But I wanted you guys to hear, would that not have been awesome? Okay, thank you for 9 of you. Yes, yeah, we'll definitely. But no, so what I want to do then, instead, is I'm just going to spray it. One, because I love it. It's amazing chocolate. But second thing I want to do, okay, is if the air's flowing a little decent, I think here in a second, hopefully it'll get to you. And I thought, this is this woman's story. Even though it happened a long time ago, we still smell, we still hear that moment where she said, look, Jesus, I'm not trying to earn anything. I just know you're the one. You're the one who can forgive me. You're the one who can save me. And because of that, I'm not doing this so I can get more. I'm not trying to do this so I can earn more love. But realizing how much you love me, this is the least I can do, is to take my life, my livelihood, everything that I need, and break it for you. While she was so grateful, everyone else in that group grumbled and complained, not realizing that they literally had the Son of God right with them. So when we pray this morning, okay, I want to share a text message I received this morning. It's weird this morning. I got like 10 text messages. So I was typing away. This is a C3er, and she's not in this room, but she never misses. I'm saying she's not in the 11, so don't look around, try to figure out who it is. But she sent me this picture this morning, kind of out of nowhere. And I asked her this morning, I saw her before the 9:30, I was like, asking why, she was like, I don't know. But it says this, it says, you know why so many addicts believe in God? And it says they met the devil. So she sent that, and I was like, I'll just walk you through it. I said, this is fire, as the kids say these days. We're both old. We laughed. And I said, but random question. How many years have you been clean? Just like to know. And she wrote back, 19 years this past June. Now, the reason I wanted to share that with you, I think it was maybe it was a little God thing that she messaged me this morning. If you knew her story, she hit rock bottom. She was in a place with a family, children, hopeless, no hope, dark times. And then literally 19 years ago, Jesus changed her life. And if I could bring her on stage this morning, she is one of the greatest humans I've ever known. And it's not that she wasn't 19 years ago, but she would tell you, I was in such a bad place. But now to look where Jesus brought me. I love that story because her and this woman have a lot of parallels. But it really didn't fully hit home until I was walking off stage after the 9:30 gathering this morning. And her husband come walking up, and he's great too, great man. Tough old guy, old school. And he walked up, and I'm not embellishing to give the story as we close. I want you to hear this stuff. He walked up, and he was like, Trent, and he kind of couldn't talk for a second. And his eyes got a little bit watery, like he was about to cry. And he was like, and he didn't say anything. And I was like, I know, man. I know what you're going to say. It's good. I appreciate you. And as he started walking off, he stopped, and he kind of gathered himself and turned back, and he was like, this place changed our lives. And we are so grateful. You'll never know. You'll never know. And I said this. I was like, no, I know. And he cut me off, and he said, no, you'll never know. You see, they get it. But here's the bottom line. Some of you in here, you're cranking it right now. And I'm glad for you. Keep doing it. You're killing the game. But that still doesn't mean you're full and whole and joy and peace. Some of you in here, maybe it's financial, maybe it's mentally, maybe it's physically, whatever. There's a struggle, but I want you to know Jesus is the one that we can be grateful for. Say, you're the only one who can fix this and make me whole. So here's the beauty. I love Alan's song. I'll never go against my boy because he is my guy and he is so great and so good. I'm so thankful he joined us today. If you see him, make sure you thank him. Just taking time today. But can I argue a little bit with this song? Here's the good news. You don't have to do your best because your best isn't good enough. But we can celebrate today that Jesus gave his best. And because we have his best, Now God accepts us just like we're Jesus. Now live in that. Enjoy that. I hope today, if nothing else, you walk out here and you're going to go, I need to. Yeah, everyone around you is telling you what you got to do. I get it. But God, the Father, looks at you and says, no, you're my kid. So when you think you need to perform for God and do more, get it together, God goes, I got you. Like the grandpa I saw Friday night. That's God, the Father. Let's pray. If we would close our eyes for just a second. Father, we thank you so much this morning for how good you truly are. God, I know there's a lot of people in here, as we talked about, that are struggling, that are hurting, trying to get it together, trying to fix some things. God, honestly, doing their best. But God, what do we do when our best just isn't enough? God, I thank you today that the good news tells us that your Son did it for us. And not just in that moment where we move from death to life, not just in that moment when we get baptized to show others, like Addie did this morning, of the decision we made personally, but in every day of our life, we get to lean more into the good news. I don't have to improve or prove myself to anyone because you already approve of me. So God, I pray today as we walk out these doors this week, we play the game. We still have to work. We still have to parent. We still have to do all those things. But never once let us confuse how you view us with how the world systems work, because they're polar opposites. I pray today, if nothing else, we would also walk out this week a little lighter, a little freer, a little happier, but we also would share that joy with people around us who are hurting and broken and need your love. Let us be a picture of that this week in the way that we not only get loved by you, but we love others the same, without conditions. Help us to do that. And more than anything, we thank you for your Son who did it all. So we can say today, it's finished. It's done. What great news. God, thank you for your amazing love. Thank you for loving us at our best and at our worst. And more than anything, thank you that we get to do the same. We get to be your beacons of hope. We ask these things in your Son's name, and amen. Guys, so glad that you're here. Next week, Triggered Week 1.